can you be able to see my screen? You can lift up your hand and tell me that you can't be able to see the screen. Someone to just lift up your hand and tell me that you can be able to see the screen, eh? And not only seeing, but also you can clearly see. Yeah, I'm asking that, can you be able to see my screen? Dan, Dorcas, Maureen, Sarah. Can you?
Oh.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So now, good. Thank you. You can lower your hands. Thank you. Yeah, so we want to see now nutrition in plants and animals. And as I've already said, that this is very key, especially in the coursework of biology. As you still be able to continue doing your coursework. So, but then sometimes now with this course or this topic being very much important, most of students don't get it. But we'll be able to see now what exactly is it's usually the challenge now for us not to be able to understand it more. Yeah, so to be able to understand more. And but I want to say that now for nutrition in plants, in simple terms, we only discuss a few things. One, you should be able to know nutrition. Then now the types and types of nutrition, and yeah, so about photosynthesis. Then you, after photosynthesis, you need to be able to understand yeah, so the photosynthesis you'll be able to get now. Yeah, so after getting now the photosynthesis, you get the enzymes, and from now the enzymes, you are done with now nutrition in plants, and then now the other one is chemicals of life, but we'll be able to see that later. Yeah, so I want us now to go back, and I will open up the forum for us so that we can be interactive. Yeah, so I want to hear someone telling me, what do you understand? Not necessarily from what you can see in the screen, but what is nutrition? Dan? Okay. Sarah, you're here. Nutrition?
Yes.
Yeah, what do you understand by the word nutrition?
Nutrition, it's like when organisms they acquire they acquire nutrients, then they use them or utilize them in the body.
Yeah, good. So I think we can use the reactions and clap for Sarah. Good. Then anyone that has some contribution on that? Yeah, good. So that is it. So we say that nutrition, it's now the process. So you need to know that in Form 1, we said nutrition is one of the characteristics of living organisms. And but then now, when you're defining this, you should be able to tell us about the process. Yeah, so you should be able to tell us about the process. Yeah, so the process is very key. Yeah, so the process. But then now, by which now organisms will obtain or acquire and also utilize those nutrients in their bodies. Yeah, so that is in the plants and also in the animals. But then now, why do then plants and animals will now acquire and utilize their nutrients in the body? Yeah, so number one, we know it is to help them to acquire and also utilize. The importance of nutrition is to be able now to help those organisms to acquire and also utilize nutrients for metabolic activities. Yeah, for example, like now respiration, yeah, growth and repair of worn out tissues. Yeah, so that is what we can just be able to say, but then, yeah, you shouldn't be able to understand that it's now it will help now the organisms to be able now to acquire and also utilize those nutrients now for the metabolic activities. Yeah, like now respiration, growth and repair of worn out tissues. Yeah, so let's go now to types and modes of nutrition. Yeah, we know that we have two types of now nutrition. And this one we said in Form 1. I just want to recap very fast. So we have what we call autotrophism. Yeah, so whereby now we say is a process by now where the organisms and especially the plants. Yeah, so what we call the autotrophs, the green plant and algae and some bacteria, they will manufacture their own food yeah, from now simple substances, like for example, carbon dioxide, water in the presence of light, or the chemical energy. So that is what we say autotrophism. So we are saying that we have autotrophism, which is now a process by which now organisms, they will now manufacture or make their own food now from simple substances. And we say those now organisms that exhibit or that show this mode of nutrition is what we call the autotrophs. Yeah, and they include the green plants. Yeah, they include also the algae and also some bacteria that are usually autotrophic. Yeah, so and when we say that in biology, when we say some, meaning there are others that don't now exhibit or that does not show the mode of nutrition that we are saying that is autotrophism. Yeah, so the other one is what we call the heterotrophicine, and this is the mode of nutrition where now the organisms feed on already made or already manufactured food substances like the proteins, like the carbohydrates, the lipids. Where now in lipids we say that in chemicals of life, we see that now lipids, they compose of fats and oils. Yeah, so what you're saying is that now organisms that will feed on those already manufactured food are the ones that we call autotrophs. And we have animals, we have protozoa like amoeba, and then we have some bacteria that's also in heterotrophism. So those are the two types of nutrition. And I think this one is, you should be able to get it now from still also from the very first topic now in Form 1. So now today I want us also we look at now the nutrition in plants. And that is what we have saying that now we've seen that nutrition in plants is what we are calling autotrophism. So and the plants now we can say they are autotrophs. And now in the types or the modes of autotrophism, we usually have two. That is photosynthesis and chemosynthesis. Yeah, so photosynthesis now, we know this is a process by which now the green plants, and I want you to get this, When we are saying a process, we shouldn't be able to mention and say that is a process. And now the green plants will manufacture their own food using light what? Light energy. Yeah, so and during now the photosynthesis, we know that now the light energy is going to be converted into chemical energy and stored in stored in food, yeah, or stored as food in now in that stored in food, yeah, so stored in food, yeah. So in simple terms, what you're saying is that so we're saying that now photosynthesis, that light energy will be now converted into chemical energy, and that is what is used to manufacture the food that is going to be utilized by the plant, but also will be stored as food now as food reserve in various parts. Yeah, in various parts, and that is what you're calling photosynthesis. But we'll be able to see this more in details maybe later. But the other one, the other type of autotrophism is what we call chemosynthesis. And we say that chemosynthesis, this is now where bacteria, they will manufacture their own food using chemical energy obtained from chemical reactions. Yeah, obtained from chemical reactions. So, and this one is now majorly in those bacteria that are they are autotrophs. Yeah, so those some bacteria that are called, yeah, so but when you get now to study more biology, you'll be able to see the names of those bacteria that are usually autotrophs and others that are heterotrophs. Yeah, so as you still continue studying biology. Yeah, so let's go now to the external leaves, external parts of a dicot leaf, and also we'll see the monocot. And those are some of the parts that we can be able to see. Yeah, so you can see this one. This is a leaf. And we have the leaf apex. We have the leaf margin, as you can be able to see, the network veins, the midrib. Yeah, so we have the lamina and the petiole. And please, I want to say, you need to be able to understand very well, yeah, those parts. Yeah, those parts. Yeah, so because sometimes in the practicals, because I know that maybe you may not have done a lot of practicals, but there is usually a lot of questions that you may get now concerning, yeah, this particular part of discussion or this part of the topic. So that is why we are saying that we are looking at the external. So you'll be able to see many other questions that will come in practicals, especially now that you're getting into Form 4. You'll be able to discuss more, especially on the leaves, and especially that can come in an exam. And I know that we know so we know that now we have already seen how we can be able to use the leaves, and especially in dichotomous key. Yeah, so the type, the venation, and all that. So that is why you shouldn't be able to see and be able to understand that more. Yeah, so that you can be able, you not miss on the details. And we say that the leaf lamina or the blade is what we say that is a flat and broad. It is flat and broad, and we say it is to increase the surface area for trapping energy for photosynthesis. So I want to mention at this particular point that when we are, maybe for example, a question is asking about the adaptations of particular structures in biology, that question is asking for you to, or the answer that is expected of you should have three parts. Number one is what we call the structure. And number two is what we call the modification. And number three is what we call the function of that particular modification. Why is that modification? Yeah, for example, we can see now in the leaf blade, we are saying that the leaf blade now is the structure. Yeah, so this is the structure. Yeah, so this is the structure. Then now we have, it is flat. So this is now the modification. That is the modification. But then now, the reason as why it is flat and broad, it is to increase the surface area for trapping light for photosynthesis. And that is now what you're calling the function. Yeah, that is the function. So those are the main areas that anytime that a biology question you find, it must contain those three areas. That is the structure. You mentioned the structure. You mentioned the modification and also the function. And I want to mention that that is why that this topic is not usually performed by students, though it is very simple, because of a few techniques that you should be able to have, especially when you're writing the adaptations, and be able to be very articulate on so of particular structures, their modification, and also their function. So, and now we say that usually in most leaves, you'll find it is green in color, and it contains what we call the photosynthetic tissue, and that is what we call the palisane layer. So the palisane tissue, which is usually a tissue that is used to manufacture food. And that is why we call it photosynthetic tissue. Yeah, so though we know that even in the spongy mesophyll, there is also the photosynthesis that is taking place there, but then there is little that is happening in the spongy mesophyll of manufacture of the food compared to the palisane mesophyll layer, where we have a high concentration of the chloroplast. Number two, we have the mean rib and the veins. Yeah, so it's usually thick and runs in the mean rib from the petiole to the apex. And this is where now the veins that run into the lamina, they form an extensive network of veins. And this one is what we will come to see later in transport and in plants and animals, about the veins, where now we have they have the xylem and they have the phloem, and whereby we say that the xylem is a tissue. The xylem tissue will transport water and mineral ions, to the photosynthetic cells, so that now that water is now used for photolysis, to be able now to get the water split now to what we call the oxygen and what we said about the hydrogen. Yeah, so that is what you should be able to know. But now that xylem that is coming from the roots, it still goes up the stem and then goes through to the branches, and then finally it gets us to the leaves. Yeah, so and to the photosynthetic cells. Photosynthetic cells get us to the photosynthetic cells for photosynthesis to take place. And then now we have the phloem that will translocate, so manufactured food. The right one to use when you're stating the function of phloem is translocation, whereby now that food is translocated or transported from now the leaves now to the rest part of the plant body, to the plant body. So that is the phloem, and we are saying that that is found in the mean rib, and in Form 4, in the last topic, we'll be able to see now how the petiole helps in maintaining the turgidity, or helping in maintaining or helping the support, support of the leaf. So we'll see that in the support and movement in plants and animals. Then the other one is the petiole. The petiole will attach now the leaf to the branch or the stem. And then now we have the margin, where it can be either serrated or it can be smooth. And then we have the apex, which is now located at the tip of the blade. So you can be able to see now this is for a monocot. Whereby now we have the parallel vein or parallel venation. Parallel venation, and that is usually the difference. And also we have the sheath. So you can be able to see we have the sheath here. So which is not usually in a dicot leaf. In a dicot leaf. But we say that now, like lamina, the veins, and the margin, the apex, they are usually just one and same thing, so that we can be able to get that, so that we don't get confused. So that is now external parts of a monocot leaf. Yeah, so maybe the question that I want to give you, I want you to write a question, a reflection question, and you write the differences between a monocot and a dicot leaf. Yeah, you can write at least three differences. Yeah, three differences. Yeah, so even as I get you some time to write them, and then now someone will tell us at least two. Are you through? Are you through with the writing of the differences? I am careful not to say that are you done, because we have done. Yeah, so I know you will say no. And Dan will say yes. Yeah, amazing. So maybe I want to open up. So someone to give us the differences between a monocot and a dicot leaf from what we have been able to see. Someone? Yes, Deborah?
In monocot, it has parallel veins, but in dicot has network veins.
Yeah, very good. A clap for her. A clap for her. I want to see claps. Claps, claps, claps. Very good, Kristen. Yes, Kristen. Another difference other than venation. Other than venation. Yeah, done. Would you give us one for a difference between monocot and dicot? Yes, Sarah. Sarah? Sarah, you can unmute. Sarah, you lifted up your hand. You can just unmute and just tell us a difference between.
Okay, I was asking if you can say that in a monocot leaf, we have a sheath, while in a dicot, we have a petiole, don't have a sheath.
Yeah, good. A clap for her. I'm not seeing your claps. Yeah, it is very good that we can clap for her. We can give her the digital claps. Anytime that now someone is contributing something, let's use the applause buttons up there. Yeah, good. Dorcas. Good. So these are the differences. So there are many, there are 4. I hope you can see that. Yeah, we can say that yeah, so we can say that now one is the dicot leaf will have a broad lamina or a blade. Or what you're saying is the other one is that for a monocot will have a narrowed lamina or a blade. And then now the other one is we say that it has a leaf petiole, as Sarah has told us. And then now the other one has a leaf sheath. And please, I want you to get this one, because sometimes even in practicals that you'll be doing, you'll be given 2 specimens, specimen K and specimen L. And then now your specimen K is a monocot leaf, and the other one is a dicot. Okay, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So now we are saying that now the leaf petiole and the other one has a midrib, the other one does not have a midrib. Then now the other one, number 4, it has a network veins, the other one has a parallel what? Veins. So anytime that you are told now to give the differences, so those are the differences that you can give. And as I've told you, you will be told to give the differences between specimen K and specimen L. And those are the differences that you can give. Yeah, having looked at that, before we go to the internal structure of a leaf, maybe I may want to hear from you. Yeah, any question up to that level? So if there is no question, so let me just take you through the internal structure of a leaf. And please, you can be able to see that from the screen. Yeah, from the screen. So we have the upper epidermis, we have the lower epidermis. Then now immediately after now the upper, first of all, we have the cuticle. Yeah, so on the top, and also we have the cuticle on the lower side, but later on we'll see that there are leaves that don't have the cuticle on the lower side of the leaf. Yeah, so and then we have the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis. Then we have the palisade mesophyll. And this is what we say that now this is where most of photosynthesis takes place, because there are many chloroplasts that are usually found in this particular region or that particular part. Then we have spongy mesophyll, whereby now this is where we have the vascular bundles, and we know that it has air spaces and gaseous exchange takes place. So this area, so what takes place here more, it is the gaseous exchange, but here is more of photosynthesis. And then now we have the stoma, and then now we have the gun cells, so that they'll close and open the stoma. So as you know, especially as we discussed in Form 2 about the gaseous exchange. So that is the intercellular spaces. You can't see them. Intercellular spaces means they are now the air spaces between the cells, and just as simple as that. Are we together? Good. So that is just still the same thing. As you can see, there is water getting out through transpiration, of course. And then now we can see that. And these are the parts of the leaf, the internal parts of the leaf. And you can be able to see that. The first one is the cuticle, which we know that it is a thin, non-cellular, waxy, waterproof, and transparent layer that covers the upper and the lower surfaces of a leaf. And it's usually transparent to allow penetration of light for photosynthesis. Remember what we have seen, class. We have said that for any questions discussing about the adaptations, you need to mention 3 areas. Number 1 is the what? The structure. The other one is the modification. And the other one is the function. So at that particular point, I may want to hear someone telling me in this particular point, what can you note is the structure, and what is the modification, and what is the function? Someone can shoot up their hand. Done? Done, if you can hear me, unmute and tell us the structure and the modification and the function. Kristen and Maureen?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us the structure in that particular point that I've highlighted. Sorry, Kristen, we can't hear you.
The structure.
Yes.
So maybe I know the function.
You know the function?
Yes.
Which is the function?
It has
Sorry?
many chloroplasts which can be used for easy absorption of light.
We are discussing about the cuticle. So you have said about penetration of light?
Yes.
Good. Yes, Dorcas?
The cuticle is the structure.
Yeah, cuticle is the structure, very good. Modification?
Transparent.
Yeah, transparent, very good. Yeah, so let's clap for them. Yeah, let's clap for them. Yeah, good. So we say that now these are the functions of our cuticle. Yeah, so functions of our cuticle is to reduce the excess water loss and also protecting the inner tissues of the plant from mechanical damage and also preventing entry of disease-causing microorganisms. Yeah, so and we have, yeah, the other one is the epidermis. Yeah, so which is a thin tissue that is usually 1 cell thick. And we say that on the upper and the lower surface of the leaf. And one thing that you should know is that epidermal cells don't have chloroplast. Yeah, that is you should be able to mark. Yeah, and then, but except now the guard cells. The guard cells are the ones that contain the chloroplast. Yeah, and this chloroplast, we know they are the ones that give a site for photosynthesis to take place. Yeah, so because they have a photosynthetic material that we call the chlorophyll. Yeah, good. Now we go to the next. So these are the adaptations of our epidermis. Epidermis, you can't be able to see them. Yeah, so we'll secrete the cuticle. Yeah, so also it is usually transparent to allow the penetration of light to the photosynthetic tissues. And also it's a single layer to reduce the distance over which light penetrates for the photosynthetic tissue. And carbon 4 oxide to diffuse into the photosynthetic tissues. And also as stomata for gaseous exchange. Then also in this cuticles, in the epidermis, the Gann cells control the opening and closing of the stomata. And but then we also say that it is covered with thick, waxy, and a waterproof cuticle to prevent the excessive water loss and protect the inner parts of the leaf. Yeah, so maybe if you had not written that, you should be able to note that. Yeah. So are we all there? Good. Then we have the Gann cells. And I want you to write the structural adaptations of the Gann cells. But these are specialized epidermal cells that are used to control the opening and the closing of the stomata. Yeah, so, and unlike the epidermal cells, the gun cells are being shaped, while the other epidermal cells are usually blocky shaped. They also contain chloroplasts that are able to carry out the photosynthesis. Then we have the structural adaptations of gun cells, whereby we say they have thicker inner less elastic walls, which curve to open the stomata and straighten to close the stoma. And they yeah, sorry, my screen was pulled down. Yeah, but I want us to conclude at that point. Yeah, so that you can be able to join, you can have some break and join the chemistry that is class that is starting at 10:30. But for the assignment for today, yeah, hoping that you've written the adaptations of the GAN, the structural adaptations of the GAN cells. So I want you to write for adaptations of the leaf to photosynthesis. That is the assignment. Adaptations of the leaf to photosynthesis. Yeah, photosynthesis. You should be able to get that for me. Number 2, I want you to write this question. List 3 adaptations of leaves that maximize efficiency in trapping sunlight for photosynthesis. List 3 adaptations of leaves to maximize the efficiency in trapping light for photosynthesis. That is question number 2. And the last question for today, explain how aquatic plants are adapted to photosynthesis. Explain how aquatic plants are adapted to photosynthesis. Yeah, those are the 3 questions that I want you to do. And when we meet in our next lesson, you should be able to tell us, and then can be able to continue from there. So thank you so much. Yes, Deborah.
Chair, may you please repeat question number 2?
Question number 2.
Yes.
Yeah, list 3 adaptations of leaves that maximize efficiency in trapping sunlight for photosynthesis. List 3 adaptations of leaves that maximize efficiency in trapping sunlight for photosynthesis. Then the other one is explain how aquatic plants are adapted to photosynthesis. So hoping that you've written those questions. So I request that we can get some break for those few minutes that are left. Then immediately at 10:30, the teacher for chemistry will be here, so that you can run now according to the program. So I want to wish you God's blessings. May you have a very good time, and thank you so much for attending our class today. Thank you so much.